Europe is really going to be caught in a huge bind because of just how dependent they are on Russian energy, no?
Thanks, Martin. That dependency can be seen in terms of how much crude Russia supplies to the European market. That's about 2.7 million barrels per day when you add up the three origin source regions for those, which is the Baltic, the Mediterranean, and also the Druzhba pipeline into Central Europe. And that's equivalent to about as much as the rest of the continent produces, at about, mainly from the North Sea, also at about 2.7 million barrels per day. And on top of that, Europe receives crude from the US, significant flows that at times can reach 1 million barrels per day. So we're talking here about a bit less than half of the total crude supply that Europe receives. And in terms of that what-if scenario that you are outlining now, while in the case of gas, it is unlikely that we would see a total interruption of flows because Russia has no alternatives in terms of where to send that gas, and Europe has little alternatives as to where to procure that gas from as well. In the case of oil, where you have a much more fungible and a much more flexible market in terms of sourcing cargoes, seaborne cargoes, we could be about to see a major shift in global oil shipments, where Urals crude, which is the main supply, the main export crude into Europe from Russia, starts going into China, and then the cargoes that would normally go from the Middle East to China would be diverted to Europe. And this is not something unprecedented. We saw that during the civil war in Libya, where there was a major reshuffling of oil flows, but this obviously would be on a much bigger scale. So if I were to bet on how the market would cope with this type of situation, I would tell you that we may be about to see the biggest reshuffling of oil cargoes on a global basis as we go into this situation, should it come to war.